I spot it the moment I step into the reception hall. Something is wrong. The chandelier lights spill across the pristine white tablecloths like liquid diamonds, illuminating the rose arrangements I selected myself. Pale pink blooms nestled against sprays of baby's breath, exactly as I'd specified. The crystal glassware catches the light, throwing rainbow prisms across the walls. Everything looks perfect. Everything I planned for Sophia's wedding day stands exactly as I envisioned. Everything except the family table. My stride falters mid-step, the sound of my heels against marble suddenly loud in my ears. I count silently 1, 2, 3 chairs. 3, not 4. I blink, certain I've missed something. Mom, Dad, Sophia. 3 chairs at the family table. None for me. I stand frozen, clutching my clipboard against my chest like a shield. A waiter brushes past, murmuring an apology, but I barely register his words. The room continues its pre-reception buzz around me while I stare at that table, at the empty space where my chair should be. Mother turns, her champagne glass poised midair when she spots me. The small smile she offers doesn't reach her eyes. "Ainsley," she says, my name sounding like an afterthought on her lips. "Is everything prepared for Sophia's entrance?" I gesture toward the table. There are only 3 chairs. Her gaze flickers briefly to the seating arrangement, then back to me, cool and untroubled. "Yes, you don't need one." The words land like a physical blow. I feel my shoulders stiffen, my spine straighten in defense. "I see." My voice comes out steadier than I feel. Sophia appears at Mother's elbow, resplendent in the wedding gown I helped select, ivory lace over champagne satin that complements her olive complexion perfectly. "The head count is wrong at the family table," I say, though I already know the answer. Sophia's eyes narrow slightly, the familiar crease appearing between her brows. Maybe the staff made a mistake. Her voice holds that familiar tone, the one that suggests any inconvenience in her world must be someone else's fault. I hold her gaze for a heartbeat longer than comfortable. I understand. The words taste like ash, but I keep my voice even, my expression composed. Then I turn and walk away, my clipboard held tight against my chest, my posture perfect, every step an act of will. I find a quiet corner near the service entrance and flip through the pages on my clipboard, though I've memorized every detail of this day. My hands tremble slightly, betraying the composure I'm fighting to maintain. Just last night, I'd been in this very hall until 3 in the morning, supervising the placement of each centerpiece, approving the lighting setup, ensuring everything was flawless for Sophia's big day. While the family slept in their hotel suites, I'd crawled through every inch of this venue. My phone buzzes with a text from the florist. "We're only continuing because we trust you. Sophia hasn't paid us." I close my eyes briefly, remembering the moment last week when I quietly transferred $4,200 from my own account to cover the floral deposit after Sophia's card was declined. Another expense she'll never know about, another silent contribution to her perfect day. I catch my reflection in a decorative mirror mounted on the wall. Navy dress, simple, elegant, one I designed and sewed myself. Hair swept into a perfect chignon, makeup flawless. Nothing in my appearance betrays the hollowness spreading through my chest. 3 chairs. Not 4. A cluster of guests glance my way, their whispers poorly concealed behind fluttering programs. I straighten my shoulders and pretend not to notice. "Your sister's wedding is beautiful. You did an amazing job." The voice startles me from my thoughts. Melissa Banks, my childhood friend from Columbus, stands beside me, genuine warmth in her eyes. "Thank you," I reply, my smile practiced but genuine for her. "Just doing my job." "Your job?" Melissa's eyebrows lift in surprise. "You planned all this? I thought you just helped with the dress." Melissa's eyebrows. I shake my head. I coordinated everything. Venue, flowers, menu, music. "That's incredible," she says, then lowers her voice. "Though I'm surprised you're not sitting with your family." Before I can answer, another memory surfaces. Mother's voice at the rehearsal dinner last night, her arm around Sophia as she introduced her to distant relatives. "This is my precious daughter, the one who will inherit everything." When Uncle Robert had asked about me, her response had been dismissive. "She's busy with work, not really part of the family celebrations." Not really part of the family. I find myself in a secluded alcove, laptop balanced on my knees. My finger hovers over the send button on a crucial email. 7 days ago, I'd sent an official warning letter about unpaid invoices, professional, courteous, but clear. It had been met with complete silence. Family loyalty versus professional integrity. The eternal struggle of my existence. I stare at the screen, remembering the empty space at that table, the deliberate exclusion. 3 chairs, not 4. This ends today. 15 minutes later, I settle into a corner booth of Cafe Roma, across from the wedding venue, laptop open and a half-empty espresso growing cold at my elbow. My fingers hover over the keyboard as I pull up the family financial records I've been tracking since taking over as their event planner 3 years ago. The screen illuminates my face in the dimly lit cafe as I click through folders labeled with meticulous care. My stomach tightens when I open the mortgage statements. This can't be right, I whisper, though I know the numbers don't lie. Our family home outside Columbus, the sprawling brick colonial with white columns that my parents boasted, cost $1.2 million, now carries not 1 but 2 mortgages. The second one, taken out just 6 months ago, nearly equals the first. I pull up the credit card statements next. 4 months overdue on 3 separate accounts, minimum payments ignored, interest compounding daily. Each statement bears Sophia's signature, my mother's authorization. Then I find it the trust fund records. My fingers go still as ice forms in my chest. The Grandmother Lopez Educational Trust, established for both Sophia and me, shows a balance of $3,421. Last year at this time, it held over $240,000. A series of withdrawals, each marked S. Lopez Educational Expenses, drained it systematically over the past 8 months. The same 8 months during which Sophia planned this lavish wedding while simultaneously claiming financial hardship. My phone vibrates against the table, the screen lighting up with the florist's name, Miss Lopez. Sarah's voice trembles slightly when I answer. I hate to bother you during the wedding, but we need payment confirmation by 4 p.m. The final balance of $12,600 remains unpaid, and Miss Sophia isn't responding to our calls. Before I can respond, another text arrives from the caterer. Urgent. Credit card declined for wedding meal balance. Please advise. And another from the lighting technician. Final payment not received. Do we proceed with reception lighting? I close my eyes, remembering our childhood home with its gleaming hardwood floors and crystal chandeliers. The Christmas, when 12-year-old Sophia unwrapped a purebred show horse, while I received a department store gift card. The summer she toured Europe while I worked double shifts at the local diner. College acceptance letters arrived for both of us the same week. Sophia's came with my parents' promise of a fully furnished apartment near campus. Mine came with loan applications. We believe in you, Ainsley, Dad had said, his hand on my shoulder. You're the responsible one. You'll manage just fine. I signed those papers alone in my bedroom, $40,000 in student loans, with interest rates I barely understood. The monthly payments still arrive like clockwork, eating into my Brooklyn rent budget while Sophia's credit card statements arrive at our parents' address. My fingers trace the screen, following the trust fund withdrawals backward in time. Each coincides perfectly with Sophia's social media posts. Aspen ski vacation, Bermuda holiday, Mediterranean cruise. Educational expenses indeed. A forgotten memory surfaces. Last Thanksgiving dinner. Mother raising her glass. To Sophia's new position at the gallery. No mention of my company's expansion to international clients. No acknowledgement of the award I'd received the previous month. My phone buzzes with a text from Marco, the hotel manager I've worked with for years. Is everything all right? We noticed you weren't seated with family. Before I can reply, a message arrives from Janine, the photographer who's captured every major event I've planned for the past 5 years. I've worked with you for years. What do you need? Just say the word. Then another from the DJ, the videographer, the cake baker, all professionals I've built relationships with, all expressing concern not for the bride but for me. 3 days ago floods back into my memory with perfect clarity. I'd arrived early at the venue, organizing place cards, when I overheard Mother on her phone in the adjacent room. Prepare 3 seats only. She'd instructed someone. Ainsley doesn't count as family. She's just the help. The words had pierced me, but I'd pushed the pain aside, focusing instead on ensuring Sophia's centerpieces arrived on time. Now I open Instagram, where Sophia's latest post glows on the screen. So blessed to have the perfect family supporting my perfect day. I've planned every detail myself. Attached is a photo of my carefully crafted seating arrangement, with my handwriting visible on the table cards. I close my eyes, weighing family loyalty against self-respect. The empty chair at the family table. The drained trust fund. The years of dismissal disguised as praise for my independence. Mother's words echo. Ainsley doesn't count as family. With steady hands, I signed the digital document I'd prepared 7 days ago. A formal notification of service withdrawal due to non-payment, effective immediately. My company logo sits at the top, professional and impersonal. Family respects family, I whisper to the empty cafe. This isn't respect. I press send, then systematically forward copies to every vendor still awaiting payment. With each click, the weight of obligation lifts from my shoulders, replaced by something unfamiliar, the lightness of choosing myself for the very first time. My phone begins to light up with responses. I silence it, close my laptop, and finally take a sip of my cold espresso. It tastes like freedom. 10 minutes later, back at the venue, I spotted Sophia first. Her veil catches the light as she weaves between tables, desperation radiating from her perfect posture. Her eyes lock on mine across the reception hall, and for a heartbeat, I see genuine fear flicker across her face. Ainsley! Her voice carries a tremor I've never heard before. What's happening? The bar just closed and the hotel manager is asking about payment. Fix this. I close my laptop with a soft click. 7 days. I gave them 7 days to address the unpaid invoices. 7 days of silence. I've withdrawn my company's master account guarantee, I say, my voice steady. The hotel requires immediate payment now. Sophia's face crumples. Not with gratitude for the thousands I've already covered, but with entitled outrage. What are you talking about? You can't just... I can. I did. The words come easily, surprising me with their strength. Every vendor received notice of service suspension 10 minutes ago. Behind her, the reception dissolves into confusion. The string quartet packs their instruments mid-song. Waiters remove half-filled champagne glasses. At the center of it all stands my mother, credit card extended toward an apologetic hotel manager, her expression transitioning from bewilderment to fury as her card is declined. My father hovers nearby, attempting another card, then another. His shoulders slump with each shake of the manager's head. For the first time in my life, I see him look small. The photographer Renee, who I've worked with for years, catches my eye from across the room. She gives me a subtle nod before turning her camera toward the family's panic, documenting the unraveling of their perfect facade. I stand, straightening my navy dress. The clipboard I've clutched all day transforms from a symbol of service into something more powerful, a shield, a weapon, a declaration of independence. Each step I take toward the center of the room feels momentous, as if I'm crossing not just a reception hall but a threshold in my life. The hotel manager spots me and immediately straightens his tie. Miss Lopez, thank you for coming over. I have the contracts right here as you requested. Beside him, my mother's eyes narrow to dangerous slits. What is she talking about? We hired her company. She works for us. Actually, the manager says, his tone professionally polite but cool toward her. Miss Lopez's event planning firm is one of our most valued partners. Her company's master account guarantee was the only reason we proceeded without full payment upfront. The shift is immediate and visible. Staff who had been solicitous toward my family now direct their attention to me. Glasses of water appear for me, not them. Chairs are pulled out for my convenience, not theirs. The power dynamic tilts with dizzying speed. Sophia grabs my arm, her acrylic nails digging into my skin. Please don't do this, she whispers, her voice dropping to a desperate plea. You'll ruin everything for me. Just this one day, my wedding day. For a moment, I waver. Deep beneath the anger and hurt, I still remember building blanket forts with her when we were children, before our parents' favoritism became her birthright. A tiny flicker of my inherent kindness surfaces, urging me to relent. My mother senses this hesitation. She strides forward, designer heels clicking against marble, her face arranged in the artificial confidence I've seen her deploy at Columbus Country Club gatherings when the Lopez family reputation needed defending. She won't dare, she says, voice pitched to carry to nearby guests. Ainsley has always been just a shadow in this family. She knows her place. The words sink into me like stones into still water, creating ripples that cannot be called back. A shadow, just a shadow. I watch my own transformation reflected in my mother's eyes, as her confidence falters. The clipboard in my hands no longer trembles. What's happening? A wedding guest murmurs nearby. Are they not paying? The sister planned everything, another whispers. Apparently they never paid her company. I reach for the document the hotel manager extends, taking the pen from his hand. My signature flows across the suspension confirmation with the calm precision that has built my reputation in this industry. The looping letters of my name represent not just my identity, but my worth. I gave you 7 days to pay. I say, my voice measured and clear. You ignored me. I'm simply enforcing the contract. My father steps forward, his face pale. Ainsley, please. We can discuss this privately. Like you discussed removing my chair from the family table? I open my professional folder, removing the document I discovered 3 days ago. Or, perhaps we should discuss how Sophia drained the trust fund, where I was also a beneficiary. Gasps ripple through the gathering crowd. Sophia's new husband stares at her with dawning horror. That money was meant for both of us. I continue. $40,000 that could have paid off my student loans I had to take, because every penny of family support went to her. If you want to gather well, if you want a family support went to her. My mother's face hardens. You have no proof. I push the bank statements toward her. I have documentation of every withdrawal, every transfer. LMN. Sophia's tears transform from manipulation to genuine panic. Her mascara tracks dark rivers down her cheeks. They told me you wouldn't mind, she whispers, that you never expected anything from the family anyway. For the first time, I see the truth plain on their faces. They never valued me, never would. The empty chair wasn't an oversight, it was a statement. I close my folder and tuck it under my arm. The weight lifts from my shoulders as I straighten to my full height. I may not count as family, I say, my voice carrying across the suddenly silent room, but I count as a professional, and professionals get paid. I turn my back on their stunned faces and walk toward the exit. Behind me, I hear the distinct sound of my sister's perfect day collapsing, the murmur of scandalized guests, the click of Renee's camera capturing it all, the beginning of arguments that will never end. With each step, the invisible chains of obligation and hope fall away. By the time I reach the grand doorway, I am lighter than I've been in years. The afternoon sunlight catches me as I step outside, warm on my face. For the first time in my life, I feel the full power of standing in my own light, not as a shadow, but as myself. Half an hour later, the reception hall empties like water down a drain. Guests clutch gift bags to their chests and whisper as they hurry toward the exits. Where just an hour ago crystal stemware clinked with celebratory toasts, now waitstaff stack unused champagne flutes onto rolling carts. The white roses I selected with such care droop in their vases, petals beginning to fall like snow onto abandoned place settings. I stand in the shadows near the service entrance, watching. Sophia's new husband, Mark, paces near the half-cut wedding cake, phone pressed to his ear, his face twisted in confusion. The 6-tier creation I spent weeks designing with the baker stands partially dismantled, the bride and groom topper listing sideways at an undignified angle. The wedding coordinator, whom I hired as my stand-in when I realized I'd be attending as family, approaches an elderly couple with an apologetic smile. I'm so sorry, but there's been a financial situation with the hosting family. The reception is concluding early. My mother's church friends huddle in a tight circle, eyes darting toward Vivian, who sits alone at that 3-chair table, back rigid, staring at nothing. Some small, wounded part of me wants to feel victorious. Instead, I just feel hollow. Later that evening, I kicked off my heels in my apartment, still wearing the navy dress I sewed myself. The contrast between this modest space and the opulent Columbus Country Club strikes me anew. My fingers trace the worn arm of my second-hand sofa, a far cry from the antique Louis XIV furniture. Mother insists completes their living room. My phone lights up for the 19th time. Father. Sophia. Mother. Sophia again. The wedding planner. Mark. Mother. Father. I watch the notifications stack up, each one a tiny hammer against my resolve. Then, with 3 deliberate taps, I block each family number. The silence that follows feels like the first full breath I've taken in years. A bottle of Veuve Clicquot waits in my refrigerator, a gift from a grateful client that I'd been saving for a special occasion. If today doesn't qualify, nothing will. The cork pops with a satisfying thunk against my ceiling. To professional integrity, I whisper to my empty apartment, raising my glass in a solo toast. My laptop screen glows in the dimness. I open my banking app and wince at the balance. Then I start making calls. Carolyn? It's Ainsley Lopez. Yes. About today's wedding. I know, and I'm so sorry you were caught in the middle. I take a breath. I'll cover your outstanding balance personally. This isn't your fault. I repeat this conversation with the small florist who stayed open late, arranging boutonnieres, the family-owned bakery that created the towering cake, and the string quartet whose music was cut short. By the time I finish, my credit card carries an additional $14,000 in charges. We always knew we could trust you, Miss Lopez, the florist says, relief evident in her voice. That's why we continued despite the payment issues. Professional integrity matters more than family ties sometimes, I reply, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. My laptop chimes with new email notifications. The subject lines tell their own story. Notice of default. Second mortgage payment. Lopez family residence. Columbus Business Journal. Local family faces multiple lawsuits. A quick glance at social media shows Sophia has changed her relationship status to, it's complicated. Below it, a hastily written post. Anyone need a slightly used wedding dress? DM for details. Another email from the church secretary confirms mother's resignation from the parish board due to personal circumstances. Father's email sits unopened in my inbox. Subject: urgent financial advice needed. I delete it without reading. I open my contacts and methodically delete my emergency contact information. The field sits empty, cursor blinking in the void. After a moment's hesitation, I type the name of my therapist instead. My finger hovers over a folder of family photos on my phone. Delete them? The childhood memories, holiday gatherings, even the painful ones, they chart the path that brought me here. Instead of erasing them, I create a new album labeled What I Overcame and move them there. In my journal, I write a single line. The empty chair wasn't a rejection, it was direction. I curl up on my window seat, watching the city's lights flicker against the night sky. Tomorrow will bring consequences I can't predict. There will be anger, perhaps legal threats, certainly emotional manipulation, but tonight, for the first time since I can remember, the knot in my stomach has loosened. The weight on my shoulders has lifted. My apartment feels not small, but sufficient. Not lonely, but peaceful. Sometimes the most powerful seat at the table is the one you walk away from. 2 days after the wedding catastrophe, the news article appeared on my tablet during breakfast. Lopez family home enters foreclosure. I stare at the Columbus Dispatch headline. The words stark against the white background. My coffee cools beside my untouched bagel as I scroll through the article detailing my family's financial collapse. An email notification slides in from Mrs. Peterson, my mother's bridge partner for 15 years. Is it true about your parents moving to an apartment? Everyone at the club is talking. No. I swipe it away, only to find a LinkedIn update below it. Sophia Lopez is now seeking new opportunities in event coordination. The irony doesn't escape me, she's trying to enter my field after claiming credit for my work at her wedding. My phone buzzes with a bank notification. Lopez Family Trust. Legal proceedings initiated. The trust fund Sophia drained the one where my name existed on paper but never in practice. I place my devices face down on the table and finish my coffee. The liquid is cold now, bitter on my tongue. I don't flinch. I don't smile. I simply rinse my cup and place it in the dishwasher. My movements precise and controlled, just as they've always been. 3 weeks later, she appears without warning. I look up from my desk to find my mother standing in my office doorway, clutching her purse with white knuckles. Vivian Lopez, who once commanded rooms with her presence, looks diminished. The designer clothes replaced by department store basics. The carefully maintained blonde highlights now showing gray at the roots. We made a terrible mistake, she says, her voice stripped of its usual authority. We need your help. I gesture to the chair across from my desk, the irony not lost on either of us. A chair I'm offering that she once denied me. I needed your love my entire life, I say, my voice steady. You chose otherwise. She starts to speak, but my phone interrupts with Sophia's name on the screen. I let it go to voicemail, maintaining eye contact with my mother. Later, I listen to Sophia's message. The marriage is over. He left when he found out about the money. Her voice cracks. I didn't know how bad things were. Please call me back. That evening, A formal letter arrives from my father. His elegant handwriting covers 3 pages with apologies for past behavior, followed by a detailed request for financial assistance. The familiar patterned sentiment, followed by self-interest, makes something final settle in my chest. I arrange to meet them at a coffee shop 2 blocks from my apartment. Neutral territory. I arrive 10 minutes early and choose a corner table with clear sightlines to the door. They enter together a unit as always, but diminished now. My father's shoulders stoop forward, his once commanding presence shrunken by financial ruin. Sophia trails behind them, her left hand conspicuously bare where her 4-carat engagement ring once Saturday. Her eyes are red-rimmed, lacking the confident spark that once defined her. I don't stand when they approach. I don't offer hugs or comforting platitudes. I simply gesture to the chairs. I've arranged 3 chairs, evenly spaced, directly across from mine. "Thank you for coming," I say. My mother speaks first, her fingers worrying at the strap of her purse. We always favored Sophia because she was easier to control. The admission hangs in the air between us. Your independence threatened us. We didn't know how to handle it. My father nods, eyes fixed on his coffee cup. We took the path of least resistance. It was wrong. Sophia looks up, mascara smudged beneath her eyes. "They told me you owed us because you were the less lovable child." Her voice breaks. I believed them. The words should hurt. Perhaps once they would have. Now they simply confirm what I already know. "We need help getting back on our feet," my father says, pulling documents from his briefcase. "Just until we sort things out. The bank has given us 30 days to vacate. We thought perhaps your apartment." I raise my hand, stopping him mid-sentence. The debt between us isn't measured in dollars. Their expectant expressions shift to confusion, then disbelief as understanding dawns. "You can't mean," my mother begins. "I wish you well," I say, standing. "But we no longer have a relationship." My mother's face crumples, not in the performative way I've seen throughout my life, but genuinely, the facade finally breaking to reveal the woman beneath. My father sits in stunned silence, papers half removed from his case. Sophia reaches for my hand. "Please, Ainsley." I look at her fingers, the nails now unmanicured, the skin around them raw from nervous picking, and step back. "The empty chair set me free," I say quietly. "It showed me exactly where I stood with this family. I'm grateful for that clarity now." I walk toward the door, my steps measured and calm. The weight I've carried since childhood, the desperate need for their approval, the constant accommodation of their demands, falls away with each step. Behind me, I hear my mother's sobs, my father's belated calls. I don't look back. Some debts can never be repaid. Some chairs remain empty by choice. Outside, autumn sunlight warms my face. I breathe deeply, filling my lungs with crisp October air. For the first time in 33 years, I am fully, completely free. A year later, I traced my finger along the wrought iron railing of the Tuscan villa terrace, the warmth of the setting sun kissing my skin. Below me unfolds the wedding of international pop star Marissa Lawson, every detail executed with precision that would make my former self proud. The string quartet plays softly as guests in evening wear move like colorful brushstrokes across the stone courtyard. My assistant Jenna appears at my elbow, tablet in hand. "Everything's proceeding perfectly," she says, then hesitates. "Your mother called the office again. 4th time this month." I take a sip of Prosecco, the bubbles dancing across my tongue. The same answer as always. Jenna nods and slips away. I watch her coordinate with the photography team, her confidence a reflection of what I've built, a company that thrived after I walked away from family obligations to honor professional ones. The laptop on the table chimes, reminding me of my weekly therapy session. Dr. Freeman's face appears on screen, her silver-framed glasses catching the Italian sunset. "Magnificent view," she notes. "How are you feeling today?" I consider this as a server delivers fresh-cut roses to the bridal suite below. I don't regret walking away. I regret waiting so long to do it. Not even to have a team set example. And the nightmares about the wedding, still occurring? Not in months. I turn the laptop to show her the vista. I've replaced those images with better ones. Later that evening, I return to my rented apartment overlooking the Arno River. The walls display photographs not of blood relatives, but of chosen family. My business partner Thomas, laughing during our company's 5th anniversary. The vendors who stood by me when everything fell apart. My therapy group during our retreat to Vermont. My phone chimes with a text from Robert, inviting me to dinner tomorrow with friends who've become more family than my actual relatives ever were. I respond with an immediate yes. Back in Columbus, according to mutual friends, reality has transformed my family's carefully crafted image. Mother works the perfume counter at Macy's, her designer clothes replaced with a department store uniform. Sophia's divorce finalized 3 months after her husband discovered the truth about their finances. She lives in a studio apartment remarkably similar to the one she mocked me for renting during college. The irony isn't lost on me. My parents now occupy a modest 2-bedroom rental in a complex they once drove past with disdain. Those people should try harder, Mother had commented when I was 16. Now she is those people. The following afternoon, I interview Jessica Winters, a young event planner whose resume mirrors my own beginnings, working her way through college while planning events for free to build a portfolio. My parents think this career is beneath me, she admits, voice breaking slightly. They wanted a doctor or lawyer. I wanted a doctor or lawyer. I lean forward. Family doesn't always see your worth. That doesn't diminish it. Her eyes drift to the framed photograph on my wall, a single empty chair beneath a chandelier. What does that represent? She asks. It reminds me that sometimes not having a seat leads you to building your own table. I watch understanding dawn in her eyes. That chair was at my sister's wedding. Finding it empty was the best thing that ever happened to me. The tears that fill her eyes aren't sad ones, they're recognition. Back on the terrace that evening, I raise a silent toast to the stars appearing above Tuscany. Last month, I established the Empty Chair Foundation, providing scholarships for event planning students without family support. Yesterday, I accepted an invitation to give a TED Talk about maintaining professional integrity within personal relationships. This morning I answered a letter from a young woman in Nebraska. Your story helped me find my own strength. My handwritten reply was simple. Your chair at life's table is always guaranteed. The stars reflect in my wine glass as night embraces the Italian countryside. In the glass, I see both the woman I am now and the shadow of who I once was, the daughter desperate for approval, the sister accepting scraps of affection, the professional whose family exploited her talents. I speak softly to the night sky. The empty seat at my sister's wedding wasn't a loss, it was the turning point that helped me find my rightful place in life. And for the first time in 33 years, that place feels exactly right. I grip the steering wheel tighter as the iron gates of my parents' estate swing open. The drive up to their Connecticut mansion always feels like entering another world, one where I perpetually stand on the outside looking in. The autumn leaves crunch under my tires, a symphony of gold and crimson that clashes with the hollow feeling in my chest. My charcoal pencil skirt and burgundy blouse are tasteful but understated, a deliberate choice for their 35th anniversary celebration. I know from experience that my mother prefers me to blend into the background rather than stand out. Before I can even collect my purse from the passenger seat, Eliza's silver Mercedes pulls up behind me. I watch in the rearview mirror as she emerges in a shimmering gold dress that catches the late afternoon sun. Perfect timing, as always. The front door swings open. My father stands tall in his tailored suit, my mother radiant beside him in pale blue silk. Their faces light up as Eliza floats toward them. There's our princess. Mom calls out, arms outstretched. Dad wraps Eliza in a bear hug, lifting her slightly off her feet. The guest of honor arrives. I step out of my car, smoothing my skirt. Mom glances over Eliza's shoulder, her smile dimming just enough that only I would notice. Veronica, you made it. A statement, not an exclamation. Dad offers a quick pat on my shoulder before turning back to Eliza. Sweetheart, wait until you see the decorations. We've outdone ourselves this year. Inside, the grand foyer sparkles with crystal and silver. White roses and lilies spill from oversized vases, their scent almost overpowering. A string quartet plays softly in the corner. Nothing but the best for Robert and Eleanor White's anniversary. I scan the entrance to the dining room, where a framed seating chart sits on an antique stand. My finger traces the elegant calligraphy until I find my name table 14, far corner, near the kitchen doors, 6 tables away from my parents and Eliza. We wanted to make sure you could network. Mom says, suddenly beside me. The Hendersons will be at your table. They're always looking for tech consultants. I nod, swallowing the familiar ache. How thoughtful. She pats my arm distractedly before floating away to greet early arrivals. The event planner, a rail-thin woman with a clipboard permanently attached to her hand, corners my mother near the grand staircase. I move toward the bar, but their voices carry across the marble floor. About the photographs, Mrs. White, the planner says. We've scheduled the photographer for 7:30. Will that work for the family portraits? My mother's voice drops to a stage whisper. That's fine. But make sure we get one with just the three of us, Robert, myself, and Eliza. That's the one we'll want enlarged for the living room. My hand freezes around the champagne flute a server has just handed me. The three of them, not four, never four. The waiter, a young man with kind eyes, notices my expression. He tops off my glass with a sympathetic glance before discreetly moving away. I retreat to a window alcove, memories washing over me unbidden. Thanksgiving dinner, age 8, seated at the kids' table while Eliza, just 5, sat proudly between mom and dad. Christmas mornings where Eliza's pile of gifts dwarfed mine, spilling across the living room floor while mine fit neatly under a single tree branch. My high school debate championship, where my parents arrived during the closing remarks, having sat through all of Eliza's elementary school choir practice beforehand. The pattern was established early and never wavered. Veronica, the afterthought. Eliza, the cherished center. By 16, I had found my escape in dog-eared business books borrowed from the library. While Eliza collected ribbons for participation in various hobbies she quickly abandoned, I drafted business plans at our kitchen table. A student concierge service? Dad had laughed, barely glancing at my detailed proposal. Honey, focus on your studies. Leave the business ideas to the professionals. That same month, Eliza's watercolor of our house windows, unevenly spaced, proportions impossible, was professionally framed and hung in the front hallway. My Regional Young Entrepreneur Award collected dust in my bedroom closet. The doorbell chimes again. Guests pour in, gravitating naturally toward Eliza's tinkling laugh in the center of the room. I drift toward the edges, helping Aunt Susan find her seat, showing Uncle William where the restrooms are located. Veronica. My father calls, not quite looking at me as he passes. Make sure the caterers don't forget the special champagne for the toast. The Veuve, not the Moet. I straighten my spine and nod. Of course. Not a guest to be celebrated, not a daughter to be cherished. Just another set of hands to ensure the celebration runs smoothly. A celebration where I'm simply another face in the crowd, watching the real family from afar. 15 minutes later, after guests assembled, the clink of silverware against crystal quiets as my father rises from his seat at the head of the table. His silver hair catches the chandelier light, and his custom tuxedo hugs his still athletic frame. He raises his glass, and the room holds its collective breath. 35 years, he begins, his voice carrying to every corner of the dining room. 35 years of building a legacy, a home, and a family. His gaze sweeps the room before landing on Eliza, his eyes crinkling at the corners. And nothing represents that legacy better than our beautiful daughters, especially our Eliza, who brings sunshine wherever she goes. I maintain my smile, practiced over decades, as he launches into a story about 5-year-old Eliza singing at their 20th anniversary. No mention of 15-year-old me who organized the entire surprise party. The story winds through Eliza's college graduation, her volunteer work with children, her artistic pursuits. 10 minutes pass. My name never crosses his lips. To Eleanor, my rock, my heart, Dad raises his glass higher, and to Eliza, the greatest gift our marriage has produced. Mother rises, tears gleaming, and wraps Eliza in a lingering embrace, pearls against gold as their dresses press together. The guests applaud. I join them, my hands meeting in silent rhythm while I stand alone. Across the room, Cousin Thomas catches my eye. He offers a slight shake of his head, barely perceptible before looking away. Aunt Barbara suddenly becomes engrossed in her napkin. Uncle Philip examines his watch with unusual intensity. They know. They've always known. I exhale slowly, my lungs releasing air in carefully measured amounts. My face remains composed. CEO face, James calls it. The one that reveals nothing during negotiations, when millions hang in the balance. Tonight it masks something far more valuable than money. And now, Dad announces, a special presentation. Mother produces a red leather box from beneath the table. The distinctive Cartier packaging gleams under the lights. The room stills. Even the waitstaff pauses. For the true fruit of our 35 years together, Father proclaims, his voice thick with emotion. He places the box in Eliza's manicured hands. something as precious and timeless as you are to us. Eliza's fingers tremble as she lifts the lid. Nestled against white satin lies a watch encrusted with diamonds that catch fire in the light. The guests gasp in unison. The Santos de Cartier, my father announces proudly. Custom designed with Eleanor's birthstone at the 12. Someone whispers the price, $15,000, and a murmur ripples through the crowd. Eliza squeals, launching herself into our parents' arms. They form a perfect tableau of family devotion, while I stand sentry at my assigned table near the kitchen doors. No acknowledgement of the daughter who shares their name, but apparently not their hearts. No second box waits beneath the table. No surprise for the firstborn. When the applause fades, I slip toward the bar. Aunt Margaret intercepts me, her arthritic fingers closing around my wrist. Join me for some air, dear? It's not really a question. On the terrace, autumn air clears the scent of lilies from my lungs. Margaret settles her substantial frame onto a stone bench. Did you know? She begins without preamble. That this is the third luxury gift they've given her this year? First the spa weekend in February, then the summer in France. My eyebrows rise. Summer in France? She told everyone she won that trip. Margaret snorts. Robert paid for everything, just like he's been paying the rent on her independent apartment these past 3 years. Cold certainty settles in my stomach. The puzzle pieces shift, revealing a clearer picture. That explains why my Series C funding announcement disappeared from the family newsletter, I murmur. The same month, Eliza started selling homemade soaps at the farmer's market. Your mother called it a hobby update. Your $40 million investment round was mentioned in paragraph 12, below Philip Jr.'s soccer tournament. My phone buzzes in my clutch. James's name flashes on the screen alongside his message. How's the royal coronation going? Escape plan ready when you need it. A smile, genuine this time, tugs at my lips. I quickly tap back. Standing by. May need extraction before dessert. Uncle William appears beside us, crystal tumbler in hand. His eyes, so like my father's, hold a softness his brothers never show when looking at me. Quite a watch, he says, settling beside Margaret. Almost as impressive as that tech prize you won last month. Shame they didn't mention it in the toast. Innovation Leadership Award, I correct gently. And it's fine. William leans closer, bourbon warming his words. You know your success makes them uncomfortable, dear. Always has. The waiter from earlier appears, champagne bottle at the ready. He tops off my glass with a subtle nod, moving on before anyone notices his special attention. A small kindness in a sea of orchestrated slights. Sarah, my childhood friend, catches my eye from across the terrace and makes her way over. She's aged well, her familiar face a welcome sight among the polished strangers my parents call friends. I saw the whole thing, she whispers, squeezing my hand. Want to sneak out the back like junior prom? Before I can answer, my phone rings, my assistant's special tone. Veronica White, I answer, business voice firmly in place. Miss White, I know you're at a family event, Alexis says, following our pre-arranged script, but there's an urgent situation with the Singapore client. I understand. Give me 10 minutes. As I slip the phone back into my clutch, the event planner's voice rings out across the terrace. Family photos on the grand staircase. Everyone please gather in the foyer. The guests flow inside, a river of silk and cologne. I follow, finding my assigned mark on the lowest step. Mother adjusts Eliza's hair, Dad straightens his tie, and the photographer positions us with practiced efficiency. I stand at the far edge, half my body already outside the frame. Flash, click. Done. Now, Mother says, her voice carrying in the marbled space. Just the 3 of us for the special portrait. She doesn't look at me as she says it. Doesn't need to. The instruction hangs in the air, clear in its meaning. I stand frozen as they rearrange themselves, mother, father, favored daughter in the center of the staircase. The real family, the complete family, without me. The photographer adjusts his settings. The guests watch. No one speaks. I remain exactly where I am, neither retreating nor protesting, as the final photos are taken. The image will hang in the living room, I know. A permanent record of where I stand in the White family hierarchy, nowhere at all. I slip away from the party when Mom and Dad pull Eliza to the center of the room for a champagne toast. I immediately withdraw to the father's home office, log into my email, and call my assistant back to solve the work issue. After 15 minutes of checking every chart, every slide, every explanation, we send the new proposal to the clients and I want to take a small rest. My footsteps echo through the hallway as I climb the familiar staircase to my childhood bedroom. Just a moment of peace, that's all I need. When I push open the door, the air catches in my throat. This isn't my room anymore. Eliza's pageant crowns glitter on what used to be my bookshelf. Her college sorority composites hang where my honor roll certificates once lived. The walls, formerly a soft green, now shine in Eliza's favorite lavender. They didn't even wait for me to take all of my things before they reorganized the room completely. I whisper to the empty space. My fingers trace the outline of what used to be my desk, now a vanity scattered with Eliza's makeup. The shelves overflow with trophies from activities she abandoned after a month. Her childhood teddy bears occupy the window seat where I spent countless hours reading. I open the closet, the last place anything of mine might remain. A cardboard box sits in the corner, labeled Veronica Misk. Inside, my college diplomas rest beneath my Young Entrepreneur Award. My summa cum laude tassel is tangled around my business school graduation photo. Everything that marks my accomplishments, everything that defines my journey, stuffed away like holiday decorations. A crystal clarity washes over me. Nothing will ever change. I will always be the box in the corner, the afterthought, the chair by the kitchen door. I sit on the edge of the bed, now covered in a lavender duvet. My hand brushes something hard beneath the pillow. Curious, I pull out an old book, my grandmother's copy of Jane Eyre. My name is written inside the cover in her elegant handwriting. To my Veronica, a girl who will forge her own path. With love, Grandma Margaret. I remember how Grandma would pull me aside at family gatherings, her eyes twinkling as she slipped me books, while Eliza opened mountains of gifts. Books build inner worlds, she would whisper, where nobody can tell you who to be. As I turn the pages, an envelope slips out, yellowed with age, but sealed with wax bearing my grandmother's initial. My name is written across the front. The laughter from the party drifts upstairs as I break the seal. The letter inside is dated 3 weeks before Grandma died, nearly 5 years ago. My dearest Veronica, if you're reading this, you've finally sought refuge in the pages of Jane Eyre. I knew this day would come, when the weight of invisibility became too much to bear. I recognize the pattern all too well. Your grandfather's family treated me just as yours treats you, as though I were a supporting character in someone else's story. But know this, my darling. You are the protagonist of your own life. I have made arrangements with Mr. Abernathy at the bank. There is an account in your name only, containing both funds and my personal journals. The code to access it is the date we visited the Metropolitan Museum. Just the two of us. This is not about money, though that will help. This is about legacy. You are my true heir in spirit, the one who carries my determination. The quiet ones observe, learn, and ultimately succeed where the celebrated ones falter. Remember, Veronica, sometimes family is who sees you, not who shares your name. With endless faith in you, Grandma Margaret. The tears come hot and fast, blurring the words. She knew. All those years, she saw what was happening and prepared this lifeline. My grandmother, the only person in this house who ever truly saw me. I reach for my phone, needing to connect with people who value me. 3 messages await from my business partners. James, how's the family circus? Remember, our dinner reservation is still on standby if you need an escape route. Michelle, that acquisition meeting went perfectly. The board voted unanimously in your favor. You're a genius, V. Remind your family of that when they put you at the kids' table. David, we're all here when you need us. Your real family. My fingers hover over the screen before I type back. Grandma left me a letter, and apparently an inheritance. I think it's time for me to stop waiting for a place at their table. Their responses come immediately. James, about time. We've been saving you a chair at the head of ours for years. Michelle, whatever you decide, we're with you. David, your grandmother sounds like the only smart white besides you. I think back to how they rallied around me when we started the company, how they defended me when clients assumed James was the CEO, how they celebrated every milestone with genuine joy for my success. How different from the hollow congratulations from my parents, always followed by, "But Eliza." My jaw tightens. I slide the letter into my purse and walk to the wall, where a family photo from my high school graduation hangs. I'm on the edge, as always. I remove it from the frame, carefully cut myself free from the border, and place the small photo in my wallet. In Mom's dressing room, I spot Grandma's pearl brooch pinned to a scarf borrowed years ago and never returned. I unpin it gently, feeling its weight in my palm before securing it to my blouse. Downstairs, I spot Mr. Abernathy, my parents' financial advisor, sipping champagne near the garden doors. I approach with newfound confidence. "Mr. Abernathy, I believe we have some business to discuss." I hand him my card. "At your convenience, of course." His eyes widen slightly as he reads, "Veronica White, CEO, White Innovations." He tucks it carefully into his pocket. "I've been following your company's growth. Impressive work. Your grandmother would be proud." "Yes," I say softly. "I believe she would." The party swirls around me as I walk through the crowd, head higher than it's been all evening. No one notices as I hand my ticket to the valet. No one sees as my car pulls away from the house. In the rearview mirror, the lights of the party grow smaller. Tears stream down my face, but my breathing steadies. My phone buzzes with a text from Eliza. "Where are you? They're about to cut the cake." I don't reply. Instead, I touch Grandma's brooch, feeling its contours beneath my fingers. The road ahead is clear and open. For the first time in 32 years, I'm not driving toward my parents' approval but away from their dismissal. The empty chair I leave behind can stay empty. I have a different seat waiting for me, at a different table, with people who make room in their hearts. The crisp autumn air fills my lungs as I step out of my car at La Fontaine. The restaurant's warm golden glow spills onto the sidewalk, a beacon after the cold shadow of my parents' estate. My hands have finally stopped trembling on the steering wheel. 40 minutes of driving with tears blurring the road had been dangerous but necessary. Some distances can't be measured in miles. Through the windows, I spot them already gathered at our usual corner table: James, Caitlin, and Robert, my business partners, my chosen family. They haven't seen me yet, but they're waiting. Champagne already poured. The maitre d' spots me before I can reach the door. "Miss White, we've been expecting you." His genuine smile creates crinkles around his eyes. "Your friends are waiting. Shall I take your coat?" Inside, the restaurant hums with quiet conversation and the gentle clink of silverware on fine china. The scents of garlic, butter, and fresh herbs replace the cloying perfume of my mother's white roses. James looks up first, his face brightening. There she is. I slide into my waiting chair, the one that's always reserved for me, not 6 tables away from the people I care about. "You actually escaped," Caitlin says, reaching for my hand. "We were betting on whether you'd make it before dessert." James lifts his champagne flute. "To the woman who built something real," he says. "While others were planning parties, you were planning the future." The words unlock something in my chest. My smile, the first authentic one of the evening, feels foreign on my face, like a muscle long unused. My phone buzzes in my purse, then again, and again. "Let me guess," Robert says, eyebrows raised. "The search party has been deployed?" I pull out my phone. 3 texts from Eliza, each more frantic than the last. "Where did you go?" Mom is furious. "Are you seriously ditching the anniversary?" The screen changes to an incoming call, my mother. I decline it, but her voicemail follows seconds later. "Veronica, I can't believe you would cause a scene by leaving early. People are asking questions. Call me immediately." My father's message arrives next, his voice tight with controlled anger. "You've missed Senator Harris and the Douglases. They were specifically asking about tech consultants. Call your mother." I set the phone face down on the table. Not one of them asked if I was okay. "Of course not," James says, refilling my glass. "That would require seeing you as a person rather than an extension of themselves." Another message from my mother. "Emergency meeting tomorrow at 2. You cannot escape this time." The restaurant door opens. A rush of cool air accompanies 2 figures I recognize immediately. Alicia from marketing and Devin from our development team. "Did we miss it?" Devin asks, breathless, waving his phone. "The news just broke." My stomach tightens. "Already? It wasn't supposed to hit until morning." James shrugs. "Someone leaked. These things happen." Every phone at our table lights up simultaneously, then nearby tables too. The notification catches like wildfire across the restaurant. Breaking. White Innovations acquired by Stellar Tech for estimated $75 M. The calls begin almost immediately. Industry contacts, former clients, college professors, who remember my early ambitions, each one expressing genuine excitement for my success. The restaurant owner appears with a bottle of their finest reserve. "On the house," he says. "My daughter used your productivity software to finish law school. Congratulations on your success." 2 more colleagues arrive, then 3 more. Our corner of the restaurant transforms into an impromptu celebration. "We have something for you," Caitlin says during a lull. She places a small, carefully wrapped package in my hands. Inside the tissue paper lies a framed photograph I've never seen before. My grandmother at my age, sitting at her desk in the small accounting practice she built during a time when women were expected to stay home. Her eyes hold the same determined glint I see in the mirror. "Where did you find this?" I whisper, running my finger along the silver frame. "Your Aunt Margaret. She thought you should have it tonight of all nights." Later, as I came back to my apartment, I open my laptop. The email to my family forms slowly, deliberately. No mention of the acquisition, no details they can use to make my success about them. Just clear boundaries about my participation in future family events. I left early because I needed to be where I was welcome. "I wish you both a happy anniversary, but I will no longer attend events where I'm treated as an afterthought rather than a daughter." Coda. My finger hovers over the send button. Not yet. Tonight belongs to those who see my worth without needing headlines to prove it. I close the laptop. For the first time in years, the weight of expectation lifts from my shoulders. Around me, faces shine with genuine affection. No hidden agendas, no conditional love. Tomorrow will bring complications. Tonight, I'm exactly where I belong. The next day, for the meeting, I choose the Meridian for our meeting, deliberately a sleek restaurant on the 40th floor of Hartford's newest skyscraper. Floor-to-ceiling windows frame the Connecticut River like artwork. A power spot. My territory, not theirs. Melissa, my executive assistant, arrives with me precisely 5 minutes before 2. "Remember," she whispers, arranging files on the table. "I'll signal when 30 minutes have passed." I nod, smoothing the burgundy silk blouse I selected for today. Armor, not appeasing attire. My parents arrive 7 minutes late. Mother's pearl necklace gleams against her cashmere sweater. Father's custom suit probably costs more than most people's monthly mortgage. They hesitate at the sight of Melissa, clearly thrown by her presence. "I wasn't aware this was a business meeting," Father says, glancing pointedly at Melissa's portfolio. "Just some documents I might need." My voice remains neutral. "Melissa, thank you for bringing these." Before they can object further, the hostess leads Eliza toward our table. My stomach tightens. "Of course they brought reinforcements. Traffic was awful," Eliza says, sliding into the chair beside Mother. Her eyes dart nervously between us. The golden child sent as emotional bait. Mother dabs at her eyes before we've even ordered water. "Do you have any idea how embarrassing it was? People asked where you'd gone." "Any was?" "Family members noticed your empty seat," Father adds, leaning forward. "The Hendersons specifically asked about you." The Hendersons, always the business connection. Never concern for me. "I left after being excluded from the family photograph," I state simply. "The one Mother specifically requested with just the 3 of us." Mother's hand flutters to her throat. "You overheard that? It was just one photo, Veronica. Don't be dramatic. One photo that perfectly captures 32 years of family dynamics." Melissa silently slides a folder toward me. I open it, removing childhood photographs I'd collected and arranged chronologically. Christmas, 1998. I place the first photo on the table. Eliza front and center. Me, cropped halfway out of the frame. "That was just a bad angle," Mother protests. I lay down another. My high school graduation. You both looking at Eliza while I hold my diploma. "This is ridiculous," Father huffs. "We attended, didn't we?" The waiter approaches. Father orders expensive scotch. Mother requests sparkling water. Eliza mimics her choice. "Just coffee, black," I tell the waiter, who nods and withdraws. Eliza leans forward, voice rehearsed. "I felt attacked when you left, Veronica. Like you were punishing me for being loved. The calculated guilt trips don't work anymore." I simply wait. "We told the family you had work stress," Mother finally admits. "That you've been under pressure. People understand burnout." "How convenient." I sip water, letting the silence stretch uncomfortably. "You've rewritten my absence into something that requires neither explanation nor accountability from you." Father's face darkens. You have obligations to this family. Your grandmother would be ashamed of your behavior. My laugh surprises even me. Grandmother left me a letter, and funds specifically designated for me alone. I removed the letter from my folder. She recognized the pattern when she was still alive. Mother pales. What letter? What funds? The ones you never told me about. The inheritance I discovered after her death. Father slams his hand on the table, making the glassware jump. You and your business, playing entrepreneur instead of joining a respectable firm. You think I don't see what this is about? Attention-seeking, just like when you were little. Robert, Mother hisses, glancing around. People are starting to notice. Success has changed you, Mother says, leaning forward. You used to understand family comes first. Eliza's mascara smudges as tears form. You always needed to make everything about you. Even my moments have to become about your feelings. Their tactics might have wounded me once. Now I see them clearly for what they are: manipulation, not love. You're right about one thing, I say calmly. Success has changed me. It's shown me I deserve a seat at tables where I'm valued, not merely tolerated. I see. I place my business card in the center of the glass table. The embossed letters gleam. Veronica White, CEO, White Innovations. My company closed a $75 million acquisition last week. The news broke yesterday evening, during your celebration dinner. Their stunned expressions would be comical if they weren't so sad. If you wish to have a relationship moving forward, it will be on new terms. Equal respect. No more exclusion. No more Veronica in the corner while Eliza takes center stage. Father recovers first. Now listen here. No, I interrupt, standing. You've had 32 years to speak. I've had my say today. I gather my things while they sit frozen. Melissa follows my lead. I'd like a relationship with all of you, I say, voice softening slightly. But I no longer need one. There's a difference. Mother's hand trembles around her water glass. Father's jaw clenches. Eliza looks utterly lost, perhaps seeing for the first time how the family system worked and how it's now breaking. Congratulations again on your anniversary, I say, straightening my shoulders. I truly wish you happiness. I walk away without looking back, each step lighter than the last. Their silence follows me to the elevator, but for once, it doesn't define me. The doors slide closed on their stunned faces, and I exhale 32 years of waiting to matter. My reflection in the polished elevator doors shows something unfamiliar on my face. Peace. I stand in my penthouse kitchen, watching the spring sunset paint Hartford's skyline gold. 6 months since I walked away from my parents' anniversary dinner. 6 months of rebuilding on my terms. The antique mahogany table gleams in my dining room, set with grandmother's Wedgwood china delicate blue flowers against creamy porcelain. I trace my finger along the edge, where generations of white women once gathered. The same table where I was relegated to the far end, if invited at all. Last month, when Father decided to downsize their formal dining room, I outbid everyone at the estate auction. The table came home with me, not as a peace offering, but as a reclamation. The doorbell chimes. James arrives first, a bottle of Barolo in one hand, a portfolio in the other. Latest projections for the mentorship program, he says, kissing my cheek. 28 applicants already. Women entrepreneurs who need more than just funding, I say. They need someone who sees their potential. Sarah follows with her husband, then my executive team, 2 college professors who serve on my foundation board, and my attorney Margot, who helped draft the Family Therapy Center donation in grandmother's name. While they mingle, I slip into my office where grandmother's letter hangs framed beside my window. Remember, Veronica, we choose which chairs matter. Her words guided me through my TED Talk last month, Finding Worth Beyond Family Validation. The video already has 300,000 views. My phone buzzes with a text from Eliza. They're still talking about you missing Easter dinner. Dad keeps calling it another stunt. Our cautious reconnection happens in secret texts and occasional coffee meetings. Without our parents watching, she's finding her voice, asking questions about starting community college. Small steps toward her own identity. A knock at my office door. Package just arrived for you, James says, handing me a small bubble mailer. Inside, a faded photograph Eliza and me at age 6 and 9, arms linked, laughing on a tire swing. On the back, in my sister's handwriting, we were happy before they taught us not to be. I tuck the photo into my pocket and return to my guests. They've gathered around the table, wine glasses filled, conversation flowing. No one checking their watch or measuring their words. No subtle jockeying for favor. I take my place at the head of the table. My place, not earned through manipulation or birthright, but offered freely by people who value my presence. To Veronica, James says, raising his glass, whose white family foundation just awarded its first scholarship to that brilliant girl from Bridgeport. To second chances, adds Sarah. I stand, feeling the weight of grandmother's brooch pinned above my heart. To chairs that matter, I say, and the people who fill them. Later, as my guests depart, I linger at the empty table. Tomorrow I'll host again, place cards already written in my hand for each person who chose me, not out of obligation but genuine connection. At the far end stands one empty chair. Not a place of exile, but a reminder of what I left behind and what I've found instead. I run my fingers across the polished wood of grandmother's table, now mine, now filled with laughter instead of judgment, with genuine interest instead of performance. The chair that matters most is the one where you're truly seen. And finally, I am.